Hey, you guys, let's have a chit-chat raffle video. Today is September 11th, 2021, and I don't know if I've ever talked about September 11th. I know it stirs up a lot of emotion. So many of us, and I would just ask that we be kind in our comments. I hope I won't have to shut the comments down for this video. And I'm wearing my latest Amazon purchase, these black leather gloves. I'm gonna try to see if I can stretch them out a little. Love these things. I love black leather gloves. So we'll see. So anyways, I was just thinking yesterday, as 9/11 was coming up today, and I was, reflecting back 20 years ago, and then looking at today and thinking, wow, that was a bad episode, and now we're in a bad episode. And then I went back another 20 years, and hey, what happened to my little coloring book I had? Here we are. To the 80s, and we had Mount St. Helens erupt. And that may have affected everybody. I don't know if it was that big of a worldwide event, but it was something. And that was like 80, 81, maybe 82 or 83, somewhere around there. And then around the same time, when I got engaged around 82, do you remember when HIV came out around that same time? And that was terribly, worldwide thing. That was terrible. So I guess we'll start, the terrible events for people in their 60s. They can recall in the 60s, the 80s, the 2000s, and here now, like every 20 years, there's like a big deal. So I was 4 years old, and I remember so vividly when JFK died. And at that time, like I said, I was 4 years old. My parents had this little black and white television set in the kitchen, and a little stand. And I had no siblings at the time, and it was during the day, and my mom had the TV on. I had no clue what was going on. I started crying so hard, seeing the casket and somewhat understanding that somebody had died. And I was kind of puzzled, like, why isn't my mom coming running in the kitchen trying to find out why am I crying? And that was a big deal. I just was so shook up as a little kid, and I remember my heart being broken, but really didn't know why it was broken. And I, throughout the next, it seems like it was like 3 days of that on TV, but I remember like not wanting to be away from my mom, even though we were in the house. And my dad was at work at the time, and during the day, it's just me and my mom. And the feeling of, I wanted her in the same room with me. So anyways, that was 1963. Then, like I said, about 20 years later, not quite, was the Mount St. Helens. That was crazy. Like, had anybody ever seen that? Like, in a recent, time in our life. And, of course, we've heard of volcanoes erupting, but this was like such a hands-on first look at an volcano explosion. So that just had me like thinking, like, wow, that can happen to anybody, anywhere, anytime. I just remember being really interested in it, and kind of at the same time, maybe a little bit fearful, and then trying to find out what volcanoes are here in California. And then, so I think that was a pretty big event, not just for us here, but I think for everybody. And then I got engaged early of 1982, and it seems like around the same time AIDS came out, so I was like torn. I'm like really excited. We're getting married, engaged, and hearing about AIDS. It seems like in 82, wondering like, wow, that could really mess up someone's life. If they try to have a family with somebody, what exactly is AIDS, and how do we know? Do I have it? Does my fiance have it? And that seemed to be like a big worldwide thing. And very unsettling, to say the least. So I was, 20 or 21 at the time. And then, so there was that. So then obviously 9/11 hit. 2001. That was crazy. And so I just had a big reflective day yesterday. Like, wondering, how could it be that every 20 years approximately there's these big world issues, what seemed to be world issues. And of course in 77 Elvis died. That was like a big world issue for me. It was terrible. But so, then for people who are conspiracy people, you can really convince yourself that the bomb, 9/11, was conspiracy. Then 20 years later, we have the COVID virus. That's a conspiracy. 20 years prior, in the 80s, we had AIDS. That's a conspiracy. 20 years prior to that is assassination. That's conspiracy. So I think, you know, I can kind of maybe better understand how people think things are plotted or planned out. And I just cannot believe how fast 20 years went by since 9/11. Of course, I remember that morning like it was yesterday. And I'm still, you know, debating, am I going to watch all the documentaries that they've got running, remembering 9/11? I don't know. I'll have to see how today goes. But yesterday, you know, as they were preparing for today, they had a lot of stuff on. I just, you know, I heard a few things that jogged my memory, and I totally forgot everything shut down. And it made me think, oh my goodness, that's just like COVID, everything shut down. All the big things here in California shut down, and that was unheard of. Disneyland shut down. Mark's Berry Farm shut down. Universal Studios shut down. LAX airport and surrounding airports shut down. And of course, we're 3 hours behind time here in Southern California. And so when I woke up around 8-ish, I can't remember exactly the news, but obviously I knew one tower was hit. And I think I got such a panic, I didn't even hear that a second tower had been hit. But it had to have been, just because of the time difference. So couldn't believe it. And then I'm a little bit freaking out, and my husband's not, and he's getting ready to go into LA with one of his best buddies from the track. There's like a track we run in. We went jogging in. You meet the best people there from the area. So he's really into genealogy. They're going to go downtown LA to some big genealogy library. They've been planning it for weeks. And here he is. He's getting all ready to go. And I'm like, where are you going? They were going to the genealogy library. I said, well, still, after this, you're still going? And to him, it was like no non-event. I was shocked. I said, I am not feeling well here. I think you need to stay. He was not going to cancel for anything. I was sick. Because in beans, they went off to downtown LA. I remember telling him, if they bomb New York, you know, LA is next. And he kind of just shook his head and chuckled. It seemed like we were getting ready to leave at the same time. I was going to take the kids to school, and I didn't want to. I didn't know what to do. But I thought, we'll just go and maybe I'll talk to the teacher and bring you guys home. I don't know. Alright, so we're driving to school. I remember it was specific where I was on the freeway, driving up the 101, going up the Conejo grade, driving towards LA. Anyways, I'm just confused. People are acting normal on the freeway or listening to the radio. KFI AM, Bill Handel. And he starts saying, oh, a second tower now has been hit. Second tower. I didn't know they were repeating his show when it happened. Because like I said, we were driving to school. It had to be between 7:30 and 8:30. I forgot what time they had to be there, but anyways. And I'm freaking out going up the grade. I said, we're going home. We're turning around going home. And both girls were just quiet. And I ended up going to one school, telling my daughter, just go and tell the teacher what's happening. And so she went in and told the teacher, and the teacher said, it's fine, we're closing school anyways. So on the way back, we stopped at my other daughter's school and did the same thing. So we ended up going home. And so I was just piecing together when I got home, piecing together everything what really happened. And it was just a numb day. I just remember feeling confused and sick, like, how could my husband just leave us? And his friend too, and so it seems like the next thing I remember my daughter's birthday was after 9/11, but I was still, like, the next week or two, so dumbed and dazed and upset at my husband, and thinking, is LA next? Because we live here in Ventura County, a little bit north of LA, but I know we'd still be affected. So her birthday comes and goes. We all forget about her birthday. And my daughter said she forgot about it too. Until she got to school, they started writing the date on their schoolwork. Our whole family forgot her birthday. Even my husband. Like, everybody. Grandma, no one said anything. Grandma hadn't sent a card. Nobody. That was crazy. And so then I remember the flags. Everybody buying flags, and they were all over the vehicles, all over homes. So that seemed to happen pretty quick. And the fact that the airplanes hadn't been flying for at least a day or two, and there was some kind of comment of the sky now didn't have all this airplane stuff in it. And how different it looked. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, maybe just that one thing, and everybody's complaining about pollution and climate change, and that the ozone layer, all that stuff. And I started thinking to myself, what if it's just the airplanes? Look at what a huge big difference flying no airplanes for like a day or two has made. I'm pretty sure all airports were closed like at least 1 or 2 days, and it made such a thing on the air quality up high in the sky. And then you couldn't get over all those things that closed down, all the big amusement parks. That had never happened in my lifetime till then. So that was our 9/11. So this past 20 years, just live and learn and give and take. And, I don't know what to think of us now, 20 years later, the way it ended. It's so hard for me to process so many things. This COVID and the Afghanistan. So I just beyond taking one day at a time. I'm just probably needing to take it 1 month at a time. I don't know. So isn't that kind of interesting how every 20 years, so let's see, yeah, 60, yeah, all those things happened every 20 years. That could it have been planned, or did it just happen? It's just, stuff I think about, not to raise emotion or create upset. It's just things I think about, and how I can remember each event and where I was and what I was doing when each event struck. Although I think the 77, when Elvis died, struck me more than when Mount St. Helens blew. I remember it, but not as crystal clear as Elvis, 77. And then there was a lot of, I want to talk about that, like, oh, he didn't really die. He is in the witness protection program. So there's definitely a lot of it going around, I guess, if people want to think it's happening. I think there's a lot of people thinking it. I will post, my daughter found the Bill Handel radio clip from that day, 9/11. Unfortunately, it's not the live, real version. They did outtakes and kind of made a montage. But if any of you are familiar with Bill Handel, what a character. He's just loud and big and fun and full and black and white. I love black and white people. I have a hard time with gray people. And he just was fun for me to listen to, because he really said things the way they were. So I'll try to post that link below. And I think they have 3 or 4 different montage clips on that page. I think it was the first one, but I'll try to re-listen. And I would have preferred to just have the whole thing live, but that's okay. And I think at the time, wasn't Art Bell still on the radio? Oh my goodness, I love to listen to Art Bell. And they had a lot of conspiracy fun on that late night radio show. I miss Art Bell. That was a fun show. And then what's his name? George Laurie took over. But I just truly miss that show with Art Bell. So I understand about, conspiracy thoughts and all that. I see where it comes from. So anyways, that's just a little, what is it, hopefully maybe 30 minutes or so. The last 60 years of my life, like in a little nutshell. I guess starting with 63, I was 4 years old, till now. And never thought about it until yesterday, how every 20 years our generation just, oops, that's what I missed. Our generation went through big things. So my hope today is for peace for all of us. Like I said, it is an emotional day. It brings up all sorts of thoughts and emotion, and I would just hope for all of us that we can be peaceful in our homes and wherever we might be today.